going over these red flags, I realized I have a lot. I am the red flag.
You are the red flag.
It is very important to realize what your own red flags are. Obviously, there's a fine line. Like, you don't want to be too confident, but you don't want to hate on yourself too much as well. But you got to know what your tendencies and what your patterns are. All right. Welcome back to another episode of The Real Deal Podcast with myself, Mr. Brandon Haley, and...
What's up, man? How are you?
I'm alive.
I'm good. Glad to hear, man.
The devil is a liar.
Amen.
And we got Mr. Cleon Deal as well.
Hello. Happy to be back. Every day is a good day, ladies and gentlemen. If you decide to make it that.
For the most part. All right. So today we're live.
Live like Fox 5.
I don't know how I can see how many people are on, but I can see the chat.
Oh, I can figure that out.
Yeah. If you can see that, and maybe I can try and join in and mute it in. But today we're going to go ahead and hop into our Red Flag series. But before we do that, we are going to do the deal of the day.
Oh yeah, we've been missing a few weeks on that.
Yeah, you just kind of do it as we need to, I suppose. Let me try and get up in this live real quick.
Yeah. So today's deal of the day, ladies and gentlemen. So we're going to be dealing a little bit with patience. But a quote we have from Mr. Philip Brooks. It says to be patient and understanding. Life is too short to be vengeful or malicious. And, that actually kind of coincides with what we talked about last week a little bit.
What did we talk about last week?
Rent free, right? Oh. How life is too short to be vengeful or malicious.
It goes out of my head so fast, bro. It really is. Okay, yeah, I done forgot.
Yeah. So we're getting into red flags today. I know how much everybody loves to talk about these things. And everybody has a list. Now, some lists are longer than others. A lot of people be very, very strict when it comes to their partners and significant others. So talk to me, Brandon. What do we want to get into on these?
They are. Well, the first one I do want to touch on, mainly today, we're going to talk about codependency. But we did have somebody, respond to when we ask questions on our page. We appreciate that.
Always.
When you guys interact with us. Someone had said that it was a red flag to, if you still had like your ex's login information for like Netflix, Disney Plus, things that are entertainment of that nature. So what is your thoughts on that? Because I could see, but then again, if I'm with the girl and she has like her man's login, then I'm grateful because we get
we're watching this for free now.
But now I'm thinking on the other hand, it's like, hold up, one of my exes got my login for something. Would she cuddle up with a dude watching on my channel? I'm about to take her off right now.
That's so so what was because I always like to ask why, right? That's always my question on things. So why did she feel like that was a red flag?
Why? I don't know. I can't ask her that.
I thought you did ask her why. Is that not how the conversation went?
No, that's just ask a question in the question thing.
Okay, understood. So
I just did what I always do, and I just felt like I was being attacked. So I say, "Oh, this is about me."
and you avoided confrontation.
Yeah, like I do best. I do best.
Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I don't. So me personally, I guess I can't say I feel like it's a red flag, mainly because I've still had ex's logins to like Disney Plus and Hulu and stuff like that. But for me, it's not something that I think about really. So it's not like, for some odd reason, when the way some people's minds work, they think that every time you see something, it reminds you of something. So like every time I log in under this girl, I think about all the great times we had and all this other stuff. And I'm like, my brain just isn't wired that way. I'm like, I'm trying to watch Daredevil right now. Great show, by the way. It's a great show. I'm just trying to watch this. I'm not worried about who's logging as that, because I've had ex's logins. I had friends logins, female friends logins. I'm like, to me, it just is what it is. We just people sharing a password, and if they are gonna let me keep it even after we've broken up, what am I supposed to do about that?
Fair game.
You know what I'm saying? Funny enough, though, I was with a girl once who basically when we were together and then we had stopped talking for like it wasn't even that long, but literally probably within 5 hours of us stop talk, she had like changed all her logins on all those things. And I tried to log back in. I was like, dang, that was quick. I was trying to watch whatever show was on my Netflix.
Get you up out of there.
Yeah, it was pretty upsetting. It broke my heart a little bit, actually.
I'm trying to change my name real quick. All right, so let's hop into. I'm changing the name on the live. My fault.
Okay.
Red flag today we're going to talk about is codependency. So basically, what is codependency? And this was actually a topic that a friend had brought up a long time ago, and she wanted us to talk about it. I'm sure we probably briefly have talked about this before, but now that we're getting into this series, we're just going to dive deeper into them. And, all this stuff is based on our own opinion and experiences. So, take it with a grain of salt if you want to. If you like what we say, then keep listening. But at the end of the day, take it with a grain of salt. I'm not a professional. I mean, I'm a professional, but
right.
Not that kind of professional. So, what is codependency and why is it a red flag?
All right. So let's just start with the dictionary definition of this word codependency. So what it's defined as is excessive emotional or psychological reliance on a partner, typically one who requires support on account of an illness or addiction. Very interesting, right? So basically codependency in layman's terms is you're very, very dependent on other people for whatever it may be. Maybe your emotional state, your mental state, your physical state. You're very, very dependent on others to help you get through those things. Or, you need somebody there to make you get up and go to the gym, or you need somebody there to make you feel sane. You can't do those things on your own. You're consistently relying on other people. Right?
Yeah, some of the main things is like feeling guilty when asserting yourself or saying no, an overwhelming need for approval and validation, anxiety or distress when alone, so like feeling incomplete without a specific person. So like let's say you hang out with them for like 5 days and then you're not with them for 5 more days and you just like feel like, oh my God, your world's ending.
Right.
Those are all behaviors and emotional signs of codependency. Some of the dynamics is like feeling if you have to fix or save the other person and all of their problems. That Captain Save-A-Ho complex. I used to be terrible with that, and you still see all the memes now. It's like, oh, yeah. I could save her.
Hey man, I get it.
she got all the daddy issues. I want to save her.
I get it.
And then keeping score. So then you start to feel more resentful because you give more than you receive from that other person. But in reality, like all these things that I mentioned are feelings that you have within yourself. They literally have nothing to do with the other person in part of that party. So one of the biggest reasons why this is a red flag is because it's all basically made up in your head.
Right.
Not saying that it's incorrect because of the way that you were brought up or in your early relationships and things of that nature. Those traumas, if they don't get sat with and handled, are going to start affecting your relationships down the road.
Right.
So that way, when one of these triggers happen, you're going to revert back to your old actions, which would be trying to fix or save or feeling that resentment or feeling that anxiety or depression or whatever it may be because that person's not around you.
Right.
It is a bad red flag because especially when you get two people that end up being so codependent on it, then you just create this super, super toxic relationship because then both people start to be resentful.
Right.
You cannot figure out this problem in a relationship down the road because then that relationship is going to be destined to fail.
Right.
So the only person that can fix this problem is the person that has this problem. your significant other or your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever it may be in those talking stages or in those dating stages, they can only set the environment for you to be able to do the work and to heal. But you're not, it's not their fault. It literally has nothing to do with them, even though in your head, you're the one that's saying that it has everything to do with them because you're not getting validated. But what you need to do is sit with it,
right,
and figure it out.
Right. And I think that the first thing really that comes with this is going to be a session of self-reflection. Because like we talked about, you have to acknowledge your problems there before you can start
awareness
to fix
is key when it comes to codependent people. A lot of people who are codependent are not going to even know that they are codependent.
Right.
So that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
And then you get into a relationship and it ends, and then you got to figure out why, and then you go to relationship, and you see those people that do that they just hop from relationship. They're like, oh, I'm a relationship person, whatever it may be. And they hop from relationship to relationship without ever sitting with themselves and doing that inner work.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, like, you're damaged goods. You need to sit with yourself and heal before you go into another relationship and mess them up too.
Right.
Hurt people.
Exactly.
So heal people, help people.
Yeah.
I think I just made that up, but still, you got to constantly be working on yourself because if you're not, especially codependent people, because they also do this thing. Is a popular term nowadays. It's called love bombing.
Love bombing.
Yeah, I'm sure you're familiar with that, right?
Love a good love bomb, man. It gets a bad rap, I feel like.
So I feel like love bombing comes from codependent people,
right?
Because they're so afraid to lose that other person. And I know because I've been there, I've done that.
Right.
It happened to me in a previous relationship that obviously didn't end super well.
Right.
Let's talk about it in Skeletons, episode 4.
Right.
And it started with, I didn't want to lose her because I thought that I needed her because I felt like our connection was so good. So then it just started with all this love bombing, and I didn't even know what it was till like the end of the relationship. She's like, you love bombing. I was like, what?
Can we break that down for people who aren't familiar with that term?
So I've only ever had one girl tell me that I did it, and it did make sense. It's basically at the beginning of a relationship, you're giving this person all the attention, all the validation. You are basically manipulating them into thinking that you are the best person in the entire world with gifts, love, affection, saying the right things, doing the right things. You just go above and beyond, but then that's not your real personality.
Right.
So at the end of the day, you got to be a little realist. You can't over deliver up front and then start to underperform down the road. Right. So it's got to be a median. Like the person that they're meeting, of course, you might spend a little bit more money on the first couple of dates, and then they might be a little bit different down the road. But completely going all in with like gifts, vacations, whatever it may be, to make them like you because of that specific reason, that material reason, that is what love bombing is in my opinion.
So I always think this is fun, right? So let's talk about the other side of that. So not the love bomber, but the love bomby, I guess. The bomby at this point, because what happens a lot of times is I don't think that love bombing gets recognized until after the relationship is over, because when you're there and you're receiving that, I think it does feel good, and some people are like, I deserve this. You know what I'm saying? This is natural. This is what's normal for me. So for somebody who is in those early stages, I guess
what's typically going to be the male.
Right.
In the male, it all starts with awareness of yourself. That's all it is. It's just like any other red flag. You got to be aware of it.
Right.
If you're not aware of it, if you don't know there's a problem, then you can't fix the problem.
Correct.
That's all it is.
Right. So you haven't been love bombed before, ever?
From a female?
Yeah.
Absolutely not. And if I do, I think I'll immediately turn it away. I don't know. I don't know. I at the beginning, I needed it to go slow, typically.
Right.
Until I don't, and then I needed to go fast. It's like a roller coaster, Right. Like, so all right. Oh, I really like this ride. I'm fully hopping in. That's typically how I am. Then it's like, all right, now we're in it, full speed. Let's go on all the roller coasters.
Right.
But no, I don't think I've ever been specifically, not me. I've done it, yes.
Yeah.
Unconsciously. Like I
Yeah.
didn't know that's what I was doing.
Uh-huh.
I just thought in my head, I really like this person, so I
Right.
want them to like me back, and I want to win them over by any means necessary. I want to show them that I'm the best person ever. And
Yeah.
that's literally what happened. But the problem with that is, number one, that's not God's plan. That is your plan. So seek first his kingdom, not seek first her. What you mean? You know what I'm saying? And that's my little tattoo that we got tatted on me today. Oh, constant reminder.
New tat
New
alert.
tat today. Not that I need it anymore, but we're here. But yeah, that's going over these red flags. I realize I have a lot. I am the red flag.
You are the red flag.
It is very important to realize what your own red flags are. Obviously, there's a fine line. Like, you don't want to be too confident, but you don't want to hate on yourself too much as well. But you got to know what your tendencies and what your patterns are. So when it comes to being codependent, know what codependency is first and foremost.
Right.
First and foremost.
Right.
And then know how to stop it, or how to prevent it from leaking into your next relationship. And you do that by sitting with the emotions and the feelings. So that way, if you are feeling that anxiety and that depression, sit with that alone. Don't project your issues onto the person that you're in a relationship with, because it has nothing to do with them. I mean, there's certain cases where it might, but most cases it has something to do with yourself and your previous partner, and you're just projecting it into your current relationship.
Right. So let's kind of go into, because I think an easy way for people who have a hard time recognizing if they have a codependency issue, I think that you should think about your last relationship or even your current one that you're in, and ask yourself, basically, once that relationship ended, did you have the feeling of, I don't know who I am without this person? Or if you're in that relationship, do you have an idea? Do you have a feeling of, I don't know who I am without this person? Because if that is the case, then you may have a codependency issue. And it doesn't just go for significant other relationships. Sometimes it's parent and child. Some people, once they have a child, they now only identify as a mother or a father, no longer a person. And so they don't know how to function outside of daily life without their child there. Even maybe with your parent, that's your whole personality is wrapped around that. You have a codependency to whatever these things are, because whatever it is, it's like a little safe place for you. I don't know if you have feelings of that you're scared maybe to be alone or whatever the case is, because nobody wants to be alone in the world. You know what I'm saying? And I get that.
That's not how we're made. I mean, we're made to have a partner.
Correct. Exactly. So I can understand the fear of being by yourself, but at the end of the day, you can't be dependent on other people to feed you I guess your will to live on a daily basis.
All right. Some of the other things that go with codependency, like I was saying earlier, is like feeling anxious and helpless when the other person doesn't rely on you. And then you manipulating that into your own self-worth and identity as well. So defining your self-worth based on your ability to help or be needed, struggling to identify your own needs, desires, or feelings, losing your sense of self in relationships. So basically meaning like the relationship isn't just you, that person, and then you guys have a relationship together. Your whole life becomes that relationship. And then obviously once that relationship ends, then you feel even more depressed because you created this whole fake facade of this relationship being your entire life. You still have to live and do your own thing and have your own life when you're in a relationship. That person's life is not your life. They have a life. I have a life. The relationship has its own life too. Just like your life, you nurture your life, you nurture the life of the relationship. She nurtures her life.
Right.
What else are you saying?
Yeah, I try to make a point that because I was raised in a way where I'm able to take care of myself. When you get to college, you realize a lot of people just can't do basic adult skills.
Oh, 100%.
And
Bro, I remember the first time I had to like start making doctor's appointments for myself. I'm like, what is this? I gotta
right.
find one? How do you do this?
Stuff like that. So when you have to cook your own meals, do your own laundry, clean up after yourself, some people have no idea how to do those things. I was raised in a manner where I had to do those things. So I make it a point that when I do get into a relationship, obviously I don't say this and I don't say this outright, but the gist is I don't need you. You are here because I want you here. And I think that's a bigger compliment than me needing you here. Because I can do like even my girl now, she makes jokes sometimes like when I'm cooking by myself and she's not here, she's like, you don't even need me anymore. And I'm like, that's so cute. You know what I'm saying? But you should be able to function so that way the people that you keep around you are out of want. I only want people who have me around because they want me around. I don't want anybody who wants me around because they need me around. Because that means
well, you also start to feel that lack. So when you need something, you feel the energy that you give to that person is lack. So now you need this person, meaning that you don't have this person. So you have this lacking energy that you're portraying onto your significant other and the people around you. And that's not attractive. So your inner need for this person is already pushing them away,
right?
Just by having that need. So that's why it's so important to have that self-awareness to, hey, maybe I am the problem,
right?
And move on from there.
And that's why we see like a lot of these relationships and these crimes of passion that end up in like murder, suicide, and stuff like that because somebody's threatening to leave or something like that is probably the most severe cases of a codependency, is that I can't live without you, and if I can't have you, nobody can.
Yeah, that's when it gets a little scary, a little crazy. But it starts somewhere, and then it grows into that's like the most disturbing, terrifying form of it.
Yeah.
But it starts somewhere, and if you don't recognize those patterns early on, then that's what it's going to turn into. Then you're going to just look like a psychopath, and then it maybe not even live anymore.
It really starts with the mama's boy and daddy's girls thing. That's really where it starts at.
Everything, literally, all your red flags, all your green flags too. Everything starts from childhood.
Right.
How you were raised, what you saw, how you react to it. Just like you always say, you either accept or reject it. Right. And then that creates either a red flag or a green flag down the road in someone else's relationship, or the ways that you grew up learning about relationships or experiencing relationships yourself.
Right.
So there's a lot to it. Have you ever had somebody being codependent on you and you were aware of it?
Codependent on me? No, mainly because I ain't never really done much for nobody, and that's really probably a more of a real reflection on me. I can't think of something that I offered to somebody that they just could not get anywhere else. I don't know what any girl that I've ever been with has really needed from me. I will say what I probably have done is provided a feeling of peace and calmness and comfort to people who are otherwise anxious. And I would say maybe that's kind of part of it. I would say probably, actually, funny story. I don't know how much of this story I can tell, but I'll go into a little bit of it. But something that a young lady told me once before is that how do I put this? So I was at a place in my life, ladies and gentlemen, where I wasn't making the best decisions, right? So there's a point where I wasn't really in a relationship, but I also wasn't not in a, and somewhere in between psychotic and iconic, between I wanted and I got it.
You didn't set healthy boundaries, so you let the boundaries leak into each other.
Correct.
Kind of like an incursion that they talk about in Marvel movies.
Yeah, all that fun stuff. So basically, while I was there, I had interactions with another young lady. Now, during this point, there was some fear that this other young lady may be expecting at that point. And so the young lady I was with was less upset about me stepping out, but more upset about if anybody's gonna, what she told me is if anybody's gonna have your child, it's gonna be me.
That's a red flag.
That's a huge red flag.
Also a compliment.
Appreciate it.
Whichever way you want to look at it.
I choose to take things positively, man, at the end of the day. but it kind of speaks to like I said, the dependency part of it. She was fine with what she could get over that portion of it. But what she wanted was basically still the relationship, the camaraderie, the whatever was going to come from, possibly having a child together. She was like, if anybody's going to do that and be with you for the rest of your life, is going to be me, not anybody else. If
anybody's going to be a co-parent, it's going to be me.
Exactly. If anybody's going to be a single mom, it's going to be me. It's crazy.
Crazy title to want to have. Though.
Yeah.
But I guess that's a compliment.
Well, man, we've lived some crazy lives. So it is.
Thank God. Thank God for that. Though. All right. So, I mean, you guys listen to episode 4. You can hear a little bit about my codependency. I used to be really bad about it. And mostly because I wasn't aware. And that's because, we grew up with this idea of like, love is easy, or you should fight for your love. If you really, really love somebody, you should fight for them.
That's the one right there. Because first of all, it's too many movies that don't end in people breaking up and just leaving and going their separate ways and living their lives after that.
And me following that ideology, I made some of the dumbest things ever and became the most codependent person I ever been.
Yeah.
But in reality, like, if it's from God, it's going to be easy. Like, you're not going to have to chase what's from God. So make sure you guys really understand that I don't chase anything anymore. If it comes, it comes. If it goes, it goes. I might be a little hurt up about it, but at the end of the day, I cannot ever control what somebody else does. I could pray to God and pray for what I want and ask him to lead my steps and make the decisions that he wants me to make. And then once a relationship comes in my life, ask him to bless it if it's from him. That's it.
Right.
Just like we said on Pastor Pickett's episode, hey, Lord, if it's from you, bless it. If it's not from you, take it away. But I got to be careful with those words because, he listens and he's pretty strong. So I was like, hold on.
Yeah.
I was like, hold on. I'm not sure. I think I said that incorrectly, Lord. I just wanted you to bless it. That's what I meant.
Yeah. I didn't want you to take it away.
But that's the thing is we started to chase our own thing. And we started to make decisions based on what we saw growing up.
Right.
Or what we heard growing up. So it's like, I didn't come from a 2-parent household. You know what I'm saying? So like, I didn't meet my dad till I was 20 years old.
Right.
So I don't know exactly what love is going to look like, except for based on what's presented in front of me, based on where I see like my friends' parents or what it says in the movies. And in the movies, it's always like, oh, this bad thing happens, right?
Right.
And now the guy has to be a hero and he has to fight for his love. So where am I going? Okay, a bad thing happens. Now I'm the hero and I got to fight for this.
Right.
And now I fought so hard, I felt like I finally deserved it. Now it in the process became so codependent on it because you work so hard, quote unquote, to get it.
Right.
Instead of just letting it naturally flow. That's what you shouldn't be doing.
Right.
And that's how you become codependent.
Yeah.
And then you just have to be aware of the cycles of it. And the cycles is like being super anxious or having anxiety or depression when you're not with that person. Yeah. At the end of the day, like, yo, you cannot be with this person 24/7. You got to set those boundaries early on. Like in the one that I'm in now, it's the early on boundaries because I know myself and I'm still going to do it, right? Not having sex. That was already a boundary. Is the minimum or maximum one time a week hangout. One time a week hangout. Why? Because I know myself. I want to take it slow. Set that boundary so you don't get codependent on the person.
Right.
I'm aware of my red flags. So I'm going to set healthy boundaries in place to try and prevent them. So that's what I got on it. What are some other ways that people can overcome codependency?
You just gotta get used to being alone. I think you need to figure out.
How do you get used to being alone though?
By doing it. Unfortunately, there's sometimes
doing it. And what do people do to avoid being alone?
They go out and do everything they can to be around people.
And they mask it with what?
I don't know. What do they?
Alcohol, drugs, sex, whatever it may be.
Yeah,
all the bad stuff.
Whatever your vice.
Whatever you shouldn't be doing. That's what you're doing the things you shouldn't be doing, which is masking that aloneness. You definitely have to be alone. Stop masking it.
Yeah. And I think that you have to figure out, what do you feel like you're getting from other people that you're not getting from yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Because those are the things that you're holding on to in those other people. I need this from them because they make me feel like this. You got to figure out how to make yourself feel like that. Like I go around telling everybody every day is a good day and I'm happy every day. Every time
Mm-hmm.
I go into work, someone's like, how do you always have a good attitude? I'm like, because independently, this is just what I am.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, regardless of what's going on around me, whether I got somebody or whether I don't or whatever else, I'm straight, because that's what I decided on. So you have to spend time with yourself to get to that point. And that's obviously going to make you're going to be able to live a happier and more independent life at that point.
And then I seen something too, kind of on that same topic, but stop looking for a feeling from other people that only God can give you. So stop looking outward and start looking inward. Have that self-love, have that self-reflection, and that self-work with yourself. And then look to, if you believe in God, pray to God, or whoever you believe in, pray to that. But stop looking for outward validation, because it's not going to solve the problem. Now, when you're sitting with yourself and healing and not masking the problem, yes, you want to have a good support system. You want to be able to reach out to people and talk to them and let them know the emotions that you're feeling. But know that it's not their problem that you're feeling those emotions.
Right.
Don't just throw all these emotions onto your significant other. Have a good, knowledgeable friend with good emotional intelligence that you can speak to about these things, so that way they can give you some objective perspective and calm you down.
Yeah.
And then that's the person that you vent to. But you got to be aware of it, and then have a good, solid support system where you can talk through it and they can walk you through it. And then you're just going to have to fight. You're just going to have to fight through it. And then eventually, it's just like we talk about with storms. You're going to a storm, you're headed through a storm, or you're coming out of a storm.
Right.
That's all life is ever going to be. So fight through it and get through it. And at the end of the day, know that nothing is permanent. Neither are that anxiety, that depression, that guilt, whatever that feeling that you're feeling, that's not permanent either. So
yeah, I think you mentioned something about listening to people who can help out. But also stop listening to your friends who give you bad advice. Stop. Some of y'all friends don't need to be coaching you on how to live your life. I feel like I talk to a lot of people who go through a lot of things, and they say, well, I talked to this person and they told me I should do X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, why in the world would you ever do something like that? Let's give an example, I guess. Yeah. So a young lady who I know had an ex-boyfriend who came back after some years. And she told me about kind of his life and where he comes from and how he interacts. And the gist of it was, this just was not a great guy. And she was like, but he needs me. And I'm like,
there you go, superhero complex.
And I'm like,
he needs me.
Codependency. Right. And I looked her in both of her eyes and I said, this will be the dumbest thing you ever do if you allow this to happen. I promise you it will. Because when you guys were together, I said, so when you guys were together, what were the problems? She lists out the problems. I said, so what gives you the impression that any of this is different? I'm like, the reason why he's back right now is because he had trouble somewhere else and had to come back home. Yep. 100%. And so you think that now he's going to be different than it was the first time? And so I'm like, if you do this will be yeah, but I talked to, his parents love me and my parents and my sister. And I'm like, I need you to focus right now. I need you to focus on me right now. Obviously she didn't listen to me, because why would she? But now obviously just life just isn't as good now. But stop listening to the people around you who are giving you terrible advice. If honestly, I don't really listen to nobody who isn't in an area in that how am I trying to say this? I don't listen to anybody in any area of their life that isn't at a point where I would want to be at, basically. Like if I want to go and ask somebody about marriage, I'm not going to go talk to my single angry friends. Those aren't the people that I'm going to talk to, because they're going to tell me, what's the point of that? What's the point of getting into marriage? What's the point of getting into a relationship? You don't need to do that. All it is blah, 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 blah. I'm not going to listen to those people about that. I'm going to go talk to my parents or anybody else in my family who's married.
Yeah, take advice from people you would change places with in the realm of the advice you're trying to take.
There it is. Yeah.
You're not going to take finance advice from somebody who's broke. You're not going to take marriage advice from somebody who cheats on his wife. You're not going to take You're not going to take fitness advice from somebody who's overweight, even if they are a personal trainer. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just not what you're going to do. You're not going to take, you're not going to trust a barber who has a bad haircut. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to trust a chef who's in good shape. It means they're not making good enough food. So, but you guys get the gist. What are your final thoughts on codependency, and I don't know how you can fix it? How can you leave the world a better place by helping other people with codependency?
By helping. I mean, at the end of the day, you got to wean off it, but don't wean off to the point of hyper independence.
I think a person who is codependent can't go hyper independence.
You think that, but what happens is that people go from one extreme all the way to the other because they overcompensate. It's like people who don't go to the gym their first day back, they try to go as hard as they possibly can. It's that sort of thing. So be careful on that. But the first thing is understanding exactly what you feel and what feeling are other people giving you. Why can't you give that feeling to yourself? What do you need from yourself? What kind of person do you need to grow into? So that way you are somebody that you can consistently depend on. So that way you don't have to depend on somebody else. Because obviously people are fickle, right? People change with the day, they change with the seasons. So what that means is that your feelings are now under the control of how they're going to be operating that day or that month or that week or whatever it is. And if you are under that control, then that means you are now going to be unstable and you're going to change with the day, with the month, and with the week. You have to be solid and stable within yourself. So that way, when people are wavering, you don't at that point.
Yeah, I think the most important thing to stop you from being codependent, and this is coming from somebody who used to be very codependent on their significant other, is number one, you got to be aware of it. And easy way to find out if you're aware of it is tell your significant other or somebody that you're talking to in the early stages, whatever it is, tell them to not talk to you for a week and see how you react or how you feel. Tell them not to talk to you for 4 days, see how you react, see how you feel. If you start to get that anxiety and like you're losing your mind and stuff, yeah, you're a little codependent. Be aware of it. Set healthy boundaries. So like I said, I'm set my healthy boundary as okay, only 1 day a week. It's only 1 day maximum. So it can go longer than that.
Right.
And then that's just going to test my strength on codependency.
Right.
Nothing else. So you can go longer than that, but set that healthy boundary as well. And then if you ever do start to feel those feelings of codependency again, don't project them onto that person that you're in a relationship with.
Right.
Have your close friend group and project it onto them and let them talk some sense into you and let you know like, hey, your emotion is controlling your thought process right now. You need to come back down to earth. It's not that big of a deal. Don't let the anxiety and depression start to take over, and then your codependency start to get a little bit crazier. So those three things will help you out. But number one, you got to be aware of it.
Right.
Don't stop denying it, because I'm sure a lot of people are codependent. And if you grew up with mommy issues or daddy issues, you're probably one of them. All right. I know, because I am. All right. Other than that, you got anything else for him?
I think something that would be fun. I just thought about this. Is
Let's do it.
We should go back and forth and name a couple of our red flags. So you named one already.
Okay, so since we're going into a
series,
we're going into a red flag series. Yeah, I would say definitely one of mine is codependency, but it's like I'm aware of it. So I try and take steps to prevent it, so that way I'm not. Another one is my inability to express emotion sometimes.
Right.
Which just means that sometimes I'll like bottle it up and not really explain it or put a label on it.
Right.
And then also my inability to attack conflict head on, because I much rather just cuddle up and forget all the problems existed instead of handle the problems.
Right.
And just throw them under the rug until they become bigger problems, and then it's a fire that I can't put out. Those are a couple. What are some of the ones that you got? Well, I think of some more.
So I know we mentioned love bombing, but I do the complete opposite of that. I may not give enough affection or whatever it is with my words or actions. That's probably a rare. So people don't often think that I like them sometimes because I don't tell them.
Articulating your emotions sometimes.
Yeah, that sort of thing. I have been told that I'm borderline sociopathic.
Yeah, I think I agree after the last conversation.
That I don't feel enough. I have a tendency, because I'm at a point in this life, which unfortunately that's where past things have driven me to. I'm like, if somebody wants to leave, then okay.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's how you have to be, Doris. It's not.
Yeah, but we talk about fighting for it, and I think that's healthy to an extent. I'm like, okay.
depending on how the longevity of it.
Yeah. So I have a tendency to not really care to fight for those things, which again makes people feel like I didn't really care about it. But I'm like, at the end of the day, it is what it is. Let's see what another one of my I might talk just a little bit too much. I love conversation. And I'm very good at it. And usually when I'm having fun conversations with people, I might engage too much. People think that I'm a flirt. Did you know that?
I would never guess.
That, which is just crazy to me.
Cleon's just a very chill, reserved guy.
I'm just a chill, reserved guy. And I've been accused of these heinous things of being a flirtatious person. When really I'm just in conversation. You know what I'm saying? I can't even tell when girls are flirting with me. That's probably another red flag, actually.
That is a red flag.
That I can't really tell. And I think they're just being nice. Something I learned in college was that nice girls are nice to everybody. So I just assume girls are being nice to me because I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's a little manipulation. They usually always have something that they want. I think those are the main ones.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got to be self-aware, but I kind of just realize them as they come. Sometimes I'm very impatient, and I get sometimes like too much in my head.
Yeah.
Where I just like start creating these ridiculous stories.
Mm-hmm.
Then I start to believe them, and then I'm like, oh wait, there's no evidence that supports this. So that's just the emotion. Once the emotions start to get high into a relationship, then my brain likes to hit the oh shit button and start running or creating all these false realities that make me want to run.
Yeah, and
that happens early on.
I think that happens a lot with our internal dialogue. The problem is that when we get too much time to talk to ourselves, we get to make these big grandiose stories. And it's important to, when you are noticing that you are getting there, to say, hold on, wait, none of this has happened. let's bring it back. But I do get that, just that overthinking about things, or like, especially when you're with somebody and you're like on a certain schedule or routine.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And something don't go right. Like if you have a routine with your girl and you call her every Tuesday at 7:00, but you didn't call her until 7:45 one day, where were you? What were you doing? You know, it's things like that, you know.
Well, I'm big into routine too. So once it goes off, then my head just starts to, like, it does the same thing. It's like, oh, wait, well, why are you acting different now? The routine went off. So my brain's like, what's going on? Yeah, everything's off now.
Your routine went off.
I'm like, hold up. You're not texting me you only texted me 3 words this time instead of 4.
Yeah, you're adding periods to the end of your sentences.
You're not putting enough emojis. Oh, this is the good one right here. You didn't heart my picture. You only liked it or something.
Oh my God.
It's like, wait, how you start noticing that stuff now? I was like, I don't know, bro. I just liked it.
Yeah.
That's happening. Yeah. I can see it both ways. I can be all over the place. But other than that, we appreciate you guys tuning in. Send us some red flags we want to talk about. This will be the first installment of our red flag series on codependency. Thank you guys for tuning in once again. We love you, and we'll see you next week.